Good evening. Welcome to tonight's Shocker Table Talk with Parents. My name is Alicia Newell, and I serve as the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs. With me tonight is colleagues Katie Austin with our Housing and Residence Life Department, and then everyone else knows Kim Sandlin, our Director of Student Success. And we have a full night discussion. And so throughout the night, if you have any questions, those of you who are our committed followers, thank you for showing back up. And for those of you who this may be your first time, welcome. And throughout the night, again, if there's questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box at any time. But our topic today is your students' basic needs, and what does that all encompass while you prepare to send your student off to Wichita State. And so we're going to be talking about housing, moving into the resident hall. We're going to talk about food. We'll talk about transportation. We'll talk about textbooks, health forms that you may need to submit for housing, as well as tutoring, paying bills, and any other kind of last minute things that you may have questions about. And so before we get any more into the program, I'm going to ask our colleagues to kind of introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we'll jump on in. Go ahead and kick us off, Kim.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. This is our final. Alicia and I were excited about this parent family table talk throughout the summer, which means our collection of programs. Tonight is it, the grand finale. So if you have just joined us or joined us just recently and haven't watched all of them, you may want to go back into some of the student affairs accounts. Those have all been recorded over the course of the summer. So you're welcome to rewatch and learn about some of the other topics that we had available throughout the summer. But we're excited to wrap up the summer with you. It's kind of a range of emotions. It's like, whew, we've made it, but we haven't quite made it yet because the upcoming few weeks are probably the 3 busiest weeks or something like that for the 3 of us on the screen right now. So it's kind of like, whoo, end of summer and then whoo, beginning of fall. So we're right there with you in this time of transition into the new academic year. So again, happy to be here tonight, and we'll answer any general questions we have in the chat and talk about a little tutoring and some other things that we have going on that you might be curious about that we haven't talked about over the course of the summer. So I'll pop in a little bit later, but I'll throw it over to Katie.
Perfect. Thanks. Yes, my name is Katie Austin. I serve as the Director of Housing and Residence Life. I've been working in the department for just over 10 years now. So been through a lot of move-ins and look forward to answering your questions, eager to chat with you. We're excited. I mean, the countdown is on. We're 10 days away. So any final questions, things that folks are wondering about, I'll be happy to answer.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and have Katie get us started to talk about housing, move-in, what's required forms, what should they bring, and where can they go online to, see where some of these documents are at. And then we'll switch over and talk about food on campus and what does dining options look like. And we'll just take it from there. So go ahead and kick us off, Katie.
So as I said, we're just about there. I'm sure folks are getting excited. I've run into people at Target and at Home Goods buying things to live on campus soon. And we're just excited to have everyone back very soon. The first day of move-in is Saturday, August 12th. And Sunday, August 13th. Those are our 2 big days of general move-in where there'll be a lot of festivities happening, but students can continue to move in all that week. So at this point, most likely you have a housing contract on file. You have hopefully gone online and picked a time slot to tell us which day you're coming. And we are just awaiting your arrival. If you have not done either of those things, it is not too late. We still have some rooms available in Shocker Hall, not many, but we do have some. And we still have time slots available. So please go in and pick your time slot just so we can know when you're coming and staff it accordingly. If the day that you are wanting to arrive, there are no time slots left. For example, I think we only have time slots at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday. Go ahead and give us an email. You can send that to our housing.wsu@wichita.edu email just to let us know when you're arriving, because we will accommodate you. You don't have to show up right at that 20-minute mark. It's just giving us an idea of, how many folks we can fit in the parking lots, especially around Shocker Hall, to have it be a smooth move-in for everyone. So again, if there's for some reason that you still need the Saturday move-in and you don't see any options, go ahead and let us know that's your plan, and that'll just help us prepare accordingly. So yes, so the big thing is show up, get excited. We will have what you need. We'll have the tools to help get you moved in. Every resident is going to go to their building. So Flats residents will head over to the Flats parking lot, Suites residents over to the Suites parking lot, and Shocker Hall residents will be directed by our University Police Department to either the loading zone on the north side of the building or lot 8 on the south side of the building. And once you arrive, we really are trying to shoot for the slogan, stop, drop, and roll. You're going to stop your vehicle in one of the spaces directed by UPD. You're going to send your student in to check in. You'll start unloading, drop all their things. We'll have moving bins available. You can load right into those. And then you're going to actually roll out and take your vehicle to a parking lot a little bit further away, our satellite lot, which is over by the baseball stadium, lot 5. And at that point, we'll have golf carts running. We will grab you from that parking lot and whiz you right on back to Shocker Hall. So that is mostly at Shocker. So if you're at the Suites, you'll be able to park and stay put as the move-in process happens until you're done. But we will be moving folks pretty rapidly out of the lot spots at Shocker Hall just because there's not a lot of space and there's 800 folks trying to move in. So we really appreciate folks staying with their vehicle. When you send your student in, go ahead and stay with the vehicle, start unloading the vehicle, and then plan to move it at your earliest convenience over to the other parking lot. At all times, we'll have about 10 golf carts moving folks back and forth from Shocker Hall. So if you need a ride back to your car, you're going to head out to Walmart, you're coming back from 8 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. We will have golf carts running, and we'll be there to make the walk as painless as possible. And we're hoping for good weather as well. So that's really the process. Your student will come into the Shocker Hall main lobby. We ask that they bring their Shocker ID. If they don't have their Shocker ID, maybe they're going to the orientation that's a little later in the week. They just need to bring a photo ID of some sort. We'll get them checked in. Your student should have received an email this week encouraging them to download the Just In mobile app. And there are instructions in that email on how to do that and what you're looking for. And then when they arrive, as part of check-in, we will push a mobile key to their phone. So if they need to download the app, I'd encourage they do that this week. Otherwise, we're happy to assist and help them do it on the spot when they arrive. And then that key will be pushed to them. So their mobile key will get them into their room. If there's any reason that your student maybe doesn't have a smartphone, it's full, there's not enough memory, do not panic. We have card keys that we will issue as needed, but the majority of students are using mobile credentialing in our buildings now, and it's working really well. So that's what we recommend, is that your student make room, take some other apps off, make room for Just In Mobile so that they can use that as their key into their room and then into their private space, their bedroom within, if they have a private room. And so then we'll also get their Shocker cards activated for their exterior access. They're going to get some instructions about what floor they're heading to, make sure they understand their room assignment. We're going to make sure that they feel welcome and prepared, and then they'll come back out. They'll meet with you and haul their things up. We'll have, folks at lots of different places to help. If you get lost in the building, Shocker Hall is a little confusing. We will have staff kind of assisting as we can, but be planning to move your student in. And we'll just have the tools available for you to do that. So we will have rolling bins, we have a couple dollies, and we'll have lots of staff kind of helping direct and move folks in the right direction. So that is the basics. It's not too crazy. Folks will generally kind of help their student get settled in for a bit. We encourage you, if you show up on Saturday, and I believe they're doing this on Sunday as well, you're able to go over to brunch in the dining hall from 10:30 to 1:30 each day and eat with your student free of charge. So your student can check out the dining hall with you. You can have a nice meal after getting all moved in. And then you can, your student will hopefully feel more comfortable in the dining hall for the rest of the week. So the dining hall does open. Their meal plans start on that Saturday. So folks will have access to the dining hall. They'll be doing brunch and then dinner. Other things to remember, the Shocker card office will be open. So again, if your student doesn't have their Shocker card, they're going to be open from 8 to 5 on Saturday. And then they're going to be open, I believe it's from noon to 5 on Sunday. And we'll be sure to have signage about that so you can run over and get your Shocker card if you haven't yet. So the main points is, when you're packing this week and you're looking at the things to bring, try not to bring too much. A lot of folks will show up with quite a bit of things to fit in those rooms. And I know they can look big, but we really encourage, again, especially with roommates, just to show up with less is more, and then see what they've brought. You don't need 3 TVs, 2 microwaves, and 5 fridges. It just doesn't need to go that way. So be sure to, talk with your roommates beforehand. You can log back onto your housing portal at any point in time and see who your roommates are and their email addresses. It'll be on your first page when you log in. So get in communication with them this week if you can, so that you feel prepared and you guys all kind of have coordinated what you're bringing. So those are the basics. Let's see. Are there questions?
We do. But Katie, can you talk real quick? Can families still get the mini fridge, rent a mini fridge from you all
Great question. So we have rented out all of our optional rentals, our safes, our fridges, and our lofts at this point. So if you are wanting one of those, you can definitely stop by the front desk and get on our wait list. A lot of students, especially with the lofts, will change their mind after they climb up there and realize they maybe don't like sleeping that high. So those will become available throughout. But if you have not received an email from us saying that you signed up and you're getting a fridge or a safe, you may look at some alternate options at this point because there we are in a wait list situation.
Perfect. And then also, I know sometimes we have students who sign up for housing on their own.
Yeah.
And families don't really know the price tag.
Sure.
And so this is one thing that we talked about previously in a previous episode where we're talking about your Shocker finances and making sure that there's that gap, right, of what either scholarships or aid pays for, and then that portion that is remaining that is put on the student's responsibility. And so if a family were to go in and say, hey, why did we get that private single room, when really you should be in something that is more affordable, that maybe a shared room, is that still available for students to go in and make adjustments to their housing contract?
Yeah, great question. So we do have a general room freeze through September 1st, where we kind of have everybody hold tight in their location until we know who no-shows, what we have going on. But we do have doubles and triples, which are the two lowest price points, still available. Those are generally the last to fill up. So that's what we have and can definitely offer to folks if they find that price tag is not what they thought they were getting into. So our singles go fast and they are all gone. So I'm sure somebody else would be happy to have that room. But it is a great point. The same can be said for their meal plan. If they opted into the highest meal plan, the unlimited with the most Shocker dollars, they can change that meal plan through the first 2 weeks. So it's important to take a look at those early and see what's on your bill and see if you're comfortable with that. We'd also be happy to assist if you're unsure of what plan you're on by stopping by the front desk at Shocker Hall.
Now, my favorite thing, because I know we'll get some questions about this later on, so I want to go ahead and tackle it now, is what medical documentation or documentation period needs to be submitted before moving, or what do they need to bring with them?
Yeah, great question.
In addition to an ID.
Yes. So we have, for the last several months, been reaching out to folks who do not have their meningitis compliance on file. And that either means submitting your meningitis vaccine records to Student Health or submitting your waiver. So those are two options, and they're both done through the My Student Health portal. So no longer do we accept any paper vaccination documents at move-in. You need to submit those electronically, upload them through your My Student Health portal, and then Student Health will say, yep, they're good, and it'll automatically show up on our end as well. Students do need to be in compliance within 15 days of move-in, and so we'll be doing some additional outreach. It won't keep them from getting to move in that day. We won't stop them in their in their tracks or anything, but we will be reminding them regularly to submit that if they haven't. And that's just a health and safety concern. Meningitis is something that is more prevalent in a community living situation. And so that's why residents are required to have meningitis records on file or the waiver acknowledging the risk.
All right, so off with our questions. Our first question came in from Brian P. So this family is coming in from out of state and they have a move-in at 7 p.m. And so if they're running late, how would they notify someone about move-in?
Absolutely. If you're running late, that's not a problem. You're welcome to call our main office at any point, but we will have staff there. We have a 24-hour desk at both the suites and Shocker Hall. And those evening folks are full-time staff members of Wichita State. So they're ready to move you in. They're ready to check you in at any hour. We'll have RA on duty also available. The doors will stay unlocked until 9. So we are prepared for folks to show up really at any hour and get you checked in. The desk can handle any of the processes. So there'll be no delay. If they do show up in the evenings, they may have to call the RA on duty number if it's after 9 p.m. and the doors are locked, but they're posted on every external door. And our staff, again, are doing extra rounds and kind of keeping an eye out because we don't want anybody to be outside for too long. We know some international students show up at different hours of the night. So we're definitely on high alert, watching for folks that need to get into the building. But we'll have pretty much full service up and through 8, 9 o'clock with students, staff still there. In our desks, again, they're open 24 hours.
Yeah, and one thing I just wanted to say, because I see some other questions that might address this, but I have to tip my hat off to you and your team, Katie, because it never fails. Every move-in, I have parents who say this is the best process. You guys make it so easy. You give us the red carpet treatment, and it's smooth. It is efficient. It is quick. And so it takes a lot of, planning and execution, and you guys have a really well-oiled machine. And so we had a family who asked, will bins and dollies be available for student move-in on Monday? Mm-hmm. We have these huge boxes with wheels on it. And when I like what you said, Katie, stop, drop, and roll. That is exactly what it is. I often tell parents, you really don't have to lift a finger and move in, because we have so many Shocker colleagues and students who volunteer to help with move-in, where you pull up and they roll out a bin to your car, you open the doors, and we're taking the stuff out. And so it's really great just to see our entire campus community coming together to welcome students to campus. And yeah, so
absolutely.
Anything else?
Yeah, it's our favorite time of year, and it's great. It is great. We can't do it without all the volunteers from across campus showing up to be a part of it. And so we're excited to have students back. We're ready, and and we are prepared. We've done this a few times, so we are ready.
One thing I will say is that every year it never fails that we get a big U-Haul that pulls up. And I always just hold my breath to see the back end go up, and I see it's full. And these rooms will not hold all of the belongings, and some of our families are having to take half of it back with them. And so if able, one of the things I would say, and I think Katie would probably agree, is have students bring what they need immediately, clothes-wise. And so do they need all of their winter clothes right now? No, we could probably swap things out at Thanksgiving break, winter break. And so just, what is actually essential? And then like Katie had said, is who's bringing a TV? Who's bringing a refrigerator? Do you need multiple of those in the rooms? Because it really does take up space. And being able to have less is actually more, and having them feel comfortable in their spaces. And so make sure you're checking in with roommates on that.
Yes, that's great advice.
So, all right. Sarah has asked, do their bedroom doors automatically lock if they are in the quad or if they walk outside? And so they'll probably always have to have their phone.
Yes. So that's a great point. And that is the case. So the door locks because we don't, for security reasons, not everybody knows their suite mate right off the bat. And so your rooms do lock behind you. Students, we have found more often than not, have their phone in their hand at all times. So it hasn't been a huge issue this year. This was our first year with the new mobile credentialing system. And so we've kind of worked through some things. Each of the RAs is easily able to help out if there's a lockout. So the RA on the floor, everyone has that on their phone so that they can easily help a student if needed. But they get used to it pretty quick, just like training them to carry their Shocker card around at all times. It's just a matter of being aware. And if you get to know the other folks in your room, a lot of people will prop their bedroom doors, and that's totally fine. We don't recommend propping your door out into the hallway. That's actually considered a fire safety issue. But we do say, once you're comfortable in your space, you can certainly keep your door open while you're using those other, the shower and that sort of thing. But the phone is the thing we found to stay with students the best. So it hasn't been much of an issue this year. If a student does find that their phone died or something like that, we have charging stations down at each of the front desks, as well as folks that, again, can help out with the lockout. And we did erase lockout charges this year. So there's no charge when a student does that, just as another extra service to students.
Kudos to housing for listening to students. That's excellent. All right. So next question. Now what wants to know, can beds be bumped? Going old school.
Yes, great question. So the loft kit is used for bunking as well, and can be. And so we recommend, actually we require that people put in a maintenance request with us, and we will come and bunk that bed because it does need extra pieces. You can't just do it with what's in the room. So there's a kit for that, and we will, if we have any available, be happy to get that bunked for you. It's the same fee as the loft charge, which now that I'm thinking, I think it's $40 for this for the year to have that in there. But yes, check with our front desk. Students actually put in maintenance requests themselves, but at move-in, you're welcome to just check with the desk, and we can help with those things early on. But we will at our things and couple weeks get students trained up on going back into their housing portal and submitting maintenance requests themselves for their.
Perfect. And Brian wants to know, so when can he come pick his kid up? We're not even moved in, but he wants, when is move out? When is the last day for move out for
Great question. I love it. People can mark it on their calendars now. That is not a problem. So after finals that Friday, because finals end on a Thursday, so that Friday after finals, we ask that they're out by noon unless they have an extenuating circumstance, unless they're participating in graduation in some way, or they've talked to us and they've got, you know, our athletes are stay for some postseason. So they can plan for that Friday after, or really any time during finals week. I know some folks are lucky and finish up a little early. That's great too. Our recommendation is 24 hours after their last final, if they can make that work. But really, we go around and are checking that they're out that Friday at noon.
Perfect. Yeah, and one of the things I will mention, Stephen, is that, or Brian, sorry, is that we will have in our parent family newsletter, we will put all of these dates and reminders in there. And so if you forget at any time, we'll put reminders in, hey, don't forget, this is when fall break is, this is when Thanksgiving break is, university opens back this day from holiday shutdown. And so we'll be reminding you all what those important dates are throughout the academic year as well.
Yeah.
Bikes on campus, Katie.
Yeah.
So Stephen's student is planning on bringing their bike and a lock. Yes. Lock isn't critical.
Yes.
And so should they drop that off separately or in another place? And do they need to register the bike or anything?
Great question. So they can currently register their bike through the housing application, but if they show up, we'll do it for you at the desk as well. And so that's a great system that if anything should ever happen, then UPD is able to trace with that registration sticker that we have. We actually installed more bike racks this year, as well as a bicycle little maintenance stop in the courtyard of Shocker Hall. The student organization, the Green Group, helped sponsor that, so students can work on their bike right there. So yes, bring it with you to move in. You'll be able to attach it right there at Shocker on one of the locations nearest your student's room. It needs to stay outside. Students shouldn't be rolling it through the hallway or bringing it into their room. But we have, haven't had many issues. We do recommend a U-lock. That's your best bet. That's your thickest lock, just in case, there are folks that can come onto campus and think that that brand new bike looks pretty cool. So it's best to take some precaution and get it registered and make sure they've got the lock at all times. But absolutely, bring the bikes. We love it.
Yeah, and I think, even looking at student schedules, we're seeing more and more bikes, skateboards, just different things with the expansion of campus, and especially with the east side of campus with Woosley Hall, the Innovation Campus. It takes a little longer for students to walk from one building to another. And so those bringing bikes definitely will get some use out of them because it's a beautiful campus, and why not take a bike ride instead of walk? All right. Another question here is, are students permitted to install a different shower head?
That's a great question. We prefer not on that one. We generally don't want folks kind of maintaining on our things. If they're having issues with pressure or it's not, working for their needs, they should complete a maintenance request, and our team will come in. And if it's some sort of accommodation that they need, we will work with them to maybe make a replacement or find a way to make that a better experience for them. So do reach out to us. We've got a great maintenance team. We have maintenance on duty. So again, they're not coming out for shower heads necessarily in the middle of the night, but they'll come out and fix anything that's needed. And they're really quick on those maintenance requests. It's usually a 24-hour turnaround. They're in your space, checking out your issue. So we're very responsive, and we would love for you to contact us instead of trying to take that into your own hands.
All right. Do they need to bring a shower curtain? Curtains, anything like that?
So the plastic shower curtain is provided, but you're probably going to want a pretty one to go on the outside of that. So we got the basic inner lining for you, but most folks are coordinating with their roommates on whatever the bathroom theme is going to be this year, and they're bringing some other one that will actually, because ours is clear, that will keep folks from being able to see in there.
All right. And this is always one that I get, Katie, from parents is, do they have to bring toilet paper?
Yes, they do.
Cleaning supplies?
Yes, we have cleaning kits they can check out. My biggest recommendation is to bring a stick vacuum. We no longer check out vacuums at the desk because they were breaking quite often. So if folks bring their individual ones for their rooms, that's a biggie. But we have the basic cleaning kits that you could get by with, that you can check out from the front desk before, we do health and safety checks once or twice a semester just to make sure folks are living in somewhat decent conditions. And we have a lot of folks come down and check those out beforehand. But yes, bring your own toilet paper. There are trash cans, but it's just one in there. So generally people want to bring their own trash can as well.
Great. For on-campus residents, are there any WSU provided transportation outings to local departments or grocery areas?
Yeah, so we, as the same as the rest of the WSU students, have access to Wichita Transit through their Shocker card. And so those students sometimes will get together. Their RA may put something together individually, but there's not a huge outing all at once where we're going. The ground house on campus does have some of those basic needs. So that does have toilet paper, it does have laundry detergent, things to get them by. But absolutely, we encourage them to explore the city of Wichita, get out, try the bus system, and go check out some of the other options around town. And yeah, we're not terribly far from a Walmart. What is that, 3-4 miles up the way through using the bus? Aldi's not too far down the way. So there are some options, but I wouldn't say that we have like a sponsored event to take folks there.
Right. And I think that's a good thing. And so as we talk about basic needs and transportation, is that every single student is given a bus pass, so to say, with their Shocker ID card and utilizing the public transportation system within the city. And so that is if they need to take the shuttle, the bus to one of our other campuses, if they need to take the bus to Walmart. I know a lot of students, I'll see them at, 6 o'clock, they're getting off, 29th and Rock Road, and they're heading over to Walmart. And so the shuttle, the bus does go and does routes. It's just going to take them time to learn the routes, but it's simply pretty easy. And so we do have an app for that. If you've come to orientation and have already picked up your Shocker Family Handbook, the app and information is in the handbook. If not, we will be mailing these out as well here pretty soon once the semester gets started. And that information is also available on the parent family website at wichita.edu/family. And so your students will be able to start looking at that in advance and kind of getting familiar with where stops are at and all that good stuff. Kim, Katie, do students need to have their Shocker ID with them at all times on campus?
Yes, I'm just going to go with a straight up yes. They do. If they talk with any of our staff, we require that they have that on them to just, again, you need a proper form of identification, and that's what we rely on because to get your Shocker ID card, you had to show other identification. So that's the most official thing we have. So we would say yes.
I agree. I just pipe in here. Your student can be asked to provide their Shocker card at any point, on any day, any place on campus. So, and you never know, some of our service areas on campus, so some of our student services that your students may be using, will have them swipe their ID card to check in. Sometimes you're swiping an ID card to check into your advising appointment, depending on the advising center. So yes, they definitely either need to have it, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I mean, a lot of people like those ID holders with their keys and all of that. I'm not a big fan of putting everything on your ID or on your keychain, but everybody's got their own opinion, and everybody's got what works for them. So, but they do need to have that. If they lose it, they do need to get a replacement. And I don't know, Katie, you might know, or Alicia, you might know the answer to this one. It used to be that they did have to pay and purchase for that replacement. I'm not sure if that fee is still the same, if it's still $10, or if that fee has gone up. But they need to do that. Now, if it's special circumstance, maybe they can talk to the Shocker Card Center. But yes, they do need to have that physical card on them at all points in their wallets or their purses or their backpacks. Yeah.
And yes, there is a fee, and I lost mine recently, and it was $20. So hold on tight.
Yeah, they just increased that, and so it is $20 to replace the Shocker card, and so we want to make sure we keep hold of those. For students who are going to use the living. The living kitchen area, LKL?
Yeah, lounge, kitchen, laundry. Yeah,
lounge, kitchen. I knew it was something else. What supplies are available to students there? Do they need to bring their own pots and pans, or can you talk a little bit?
Yes. So we do have pots and pans they can check out at the front desk. And so we have those available. They're welcome to bring other things. Like some folks will have Instapots or, air fryers that they can't use in their room, but they can use in the LKLs. So they can take them down there and plug them in. The LKL has a fridge. It has a stove. It has a microwave. And then, they can get the basic cooking supplies. So pots and pans and some utensils from us at the desk. And so they can really cook up anything they want. I've been impressed by some of the meals that have come out of there. In addition, that's where they would go to do laundry if they're Shocker Hall residents. Laundry is free. There are about 6 washers and 6 dryers, I believe, on each floor of Shocker Hall. And there's an app they can use to find out if any of those are empty or if they're in use before they haul their laundry around. And that's available, of course, 24 hours a day. So lots of laundry getting done at 3 a.m. while somebody else is baking cookies. It's a hopping place, but there's a nice lounge area. There's a TV, so you can hang out while you're waiting for your laundry to get done. There's kind of a glass wall there, so you can watch your laundry without having to hear your laundry, and really just hang out. So lots of amenities in the LKLs. Definitely a place to hang out.
All right. So for moving, going back, when it comes to parking, where do families need to park? You shared that a little bit. But then after that, where do students park?
Sure. So residents, just the same as any other student, need to be parking in the green lots. There's not a special residential lot. So we do recommend a lot of folks park down by Coke Arena in the lot, kind of past Dirksen, near the perimeter there, near Hillside, in lot 5 over by X Stadium. They sound like they might be a little further away. It's not bad. There, is a good eyesight to Shocker Hall, so it's a good line of sight. You just got to keep on going, but that's where they'll park. So any of the lots that have the green student and it has the S is where they should end up permanently. Parking's always very gracious that first week as people are figuring things out, but you should, after the first few days, kind of get yourself moved into the proper lot before we get close to the start of school. So great question.
And I'm just going to jump in. Students will probably complain to you and say, there's nowhere to park, Mom. I'm having to park. And I am guilty of this too, because I like valet. And sometimes on a hot day like today, it's 111 outside. I want to be right up to the door. But a former president said, we do not have a parking problem. We have a walking problem. And so it's just, they're going to have to walk because there's not a parking lot that is that close adjacent other than the suites for students and the flats for students to pull into and park. And so just, give some grace and say, hey, like, we understand, but it's really not that far of a walk.
Get your steps in.
Good exercise, right? Keep down that freshman 15. If families buy extension cords or power strips, does it have to be a special kind or anything?
They're supposed to be UL approved, which it should say on it. But essentially, when we're talking appliances and things, anything with an open heating element is prohibited. So folks should be thinking about, think of your typical coffee pot. That's got an open heating element where they could set a shirt on and cause a fire versus a Keurig where it's an enclosed heating element. And so that's kind of the difference when you're looking. There's so many new appliances out there. So that's kind of our rule of thumb. If they have questions, they can definitely run it by the desk and show it to us. Most often, again, those things that aren't allowed in the room, all of those are allowed in the LKL. So the best measure is to do your cooking in the LKL where there's an actual kitchen counter and not clothes and other things strewn about. But yes, extension cords, the surge protectors are good. If it's, you don't want to overburden the system. If it flips the breaker, we'll come calling. So just kind of look at your outlets. There's lots of options in the room. It shouldn't be an issue.
And so if Dawn wants to come and visit her kiddo on campus after move-in, where do they park?
Great question. So they've done a great job with signage lately, and there are spaces located. They just need to look for the V for visitor on any of the openings, the entrances to the parking lots, and any of those visitor lots are great. I believe the policy is you can park there, 3 times before you need to actually register your vehicle for a visitor pass. So I recommend using those lots. If it's a very quick visit and you're just picking up your child, there is a loading zone on the north side of Shocker Hall. So you can just pull up there. It's a 30-minute loading zone. There's also some 15-minute parking spots on the south side near Morrison Hall that can be utilized. So if you're sticking around, find a permanent space. Those are really just loading and unloading zones.
All right. So any additional things that you want to talk about? We talked already about, move-in, kind of what to expect. The royal treatment that they will get, forms that they need to upload into their portal or bring with them, bringing an ID for check-in and to get their keys. Anything else that you can think of, Katie, in relation to just move-in or dining?
Sure. Yeah, I'll touch on dining a little bit more. So each of your first year students has an unlimited plan, and that means they can go into the dining hall as much as they wish. They don't need to worry about running out of swipes or having a zero balance. They can go into the dining hall anytime it is open. And it is open a lot. They'll be open once school starts. They'll be open breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night. So essentially 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Outside of that, they have the option to get grab and go, where they have a $5 deposit and you get a little clamshell and you can fill that up with food and take it with you and put it back in the fridge for later. And then when you return, they'll give you a clean clamshell. They'll take your old one. And then at the end of the year, when you turn it in, you get those $5 back too. So it's really a free program essentially. So it's another good thing to utilize if folks are heading to Shocker Studios or some places that take them a little further from campus and they don't find themselves in the dining hall at the dining hours. The dining hall will be open this year over fall break, but it does close over Thanksgiving break. It does close over winter break. So it's unlimited and all you can eat when it's open, but that doesn't mean it's open every single day. So keep an eye on the signage. I recommend you follow their social media channels as well. They try to give ample notice, and there'll always be one other option open on campus, whether it's retail through the Starbucks or the Ground House. Something will be open. I think 363 days a year or somewhere in that range. So there's options. And again, if you have allergies, they really hit on this, be sure to be communicating with the dining manager. Their meal plans are required, so you want to get your use out of them. There are options. They will special order things. I've seen Jamie, the head of dining, do some great things for students to really accommodate their needs. So they can't help if they don't know. So make sure you're reaching out and communicating if you have any special accommodations you need with dining.
I'll jump in here. We've been eating over in the residence halls all summer long with orientation, and I have some transition mentors, the student staff that have some very strict dietary issues and restrictions. They do a great job, but here's the key. They cannot keep, like, the person behind the counter doesn't know if something is going to, affect your student. Your student has to be willing to say, I need the gluten-free bread. Right. I need this. I need that. And we've talked all summer in some of these workshops about, students learning to advocate for themselves and learning to ask the question. Our housing people and our dining people are among the nicest and the most accommodating. Jamie in particular in dining. She's really passionate about making sure that there are all options for all types of dietary restrictions. So, but they don't know if your students aren't telling them and coming home and complaining, well, they don't have, I asked for something and they said no, and then we need to help them go to the dining. There's a dining office right there in Shocker Hall, and they can visit that and talk to the people in dining to work something out, and they will bend over backwards to try to accommodate every single allergy and restriction that they have. So they do a phenomenal job. So I'm just putting our 2 cents in there. That's from our experience working with a lot of restrictions that we have on our own staff. So
yeah. And I think the other thing is that even if your student is non-residential and they're staying at home, this is the thing, because we have a lot of our students who will be on campus from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They are eligible to get a dining plan as well. And that can happen at any time. And essentially, they would just need to go to the dining office on the 2nd floor in the Radigan Student Center to get that set up. Anything you would add to that, Katie?
No, that's right. They are on the 2nd floor, and that is an option. There's usually some perks or benefits to buying that plan versus just paying cash, because anyone can eat in the dining hall. You can come up and pay cash, use a debit or credit card, and enter for any of the meal periods. But if you buy one of those commuter plans, there's usually a little bit of a discount to it. So there's a reason to maybe incentivize purchasing one of those instead of just using cash each time.
Right. And so when we talk about Shocker dollars, and so these are additional monies that, we are putting on accounts to be able to go get Chick-fil-A and Panda, and there's a new taco place downstairs, and it's going to be lovely. Shocker Grill and Lanes. So can students use gift cards for Chick-fil-A, or does it have to be separate?
I don't want to confidently answer that because I'm not sure.
I can answer that if you can't.
Great.
They do not accept gift cards. Okay. And so those have to be used. There is a separate entity. And so they would need to have those monies added to their account here. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I had a parent share with me was that they were really concerned because the student kept saying, like, there's nothing to eat. There's nothing to eat. However, they never articulated that because they had an allergy, and they never articulated that with our dining staff. And so they were using their Shocker dollars to go come and eat in the Radigan Student Center, which is great. But when we looked at when I pulled the student's bill and I was looking kind of at the charges, one of the things that I saw was they were getting a vanilla frappuccino every morning. And so they were eating through, more like drinking through, all of their dollars. And so I think it's also important to have conversations with students about what is that expectation and how long, if you have $500 on there for, extra, or maybe $250, is this expected to last you all semester? Or are you responsible for reloading if you want any more on there? Because that does take a toll on some families when, they have this unlimited meal plan over in the dining hall, that they're able to eat and use. And so I think that's another good point of conversation to have prior to move-in.
Absolutely. Well, and I will say the difference between dining dollars and shocker dollars are what are attached to your student's residential meal plan. And so dining dollars, again, they can be used just the same over at retail options in the Radigan Student Center. When they carry over from fall to spring, but at the end of your housing contract, when you move out, they do expire. So you want to use those up. Shocker dollars never expire. So students can purchase those and they stay on their card as long as they're a student. So if you're confused about the differences between those, that's really the main point, is that the dining ones, again, come with their residential meal plan versus a shocker dollar. Anyone can buy, anyone can have and use as long as they have them.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So kind of switching gears. Again, I want to make sure we leave some time to talk about some of the other things, like the shocker support locker for our families who may be off campus, which is our food pantry. It's called the Shocker Support Locker. Our Student Government Association and our Student Engagement Advocacy and Leadership Office coordinate this unit where it's a food pantry where students can go and pick up either food, toiletries, things that they may need, and they're able to pick up items weekly. And so if your student is in need of any of those things, we want to make sure that they have what they need. Katie talked about when the university closes for shutdown, we do have a lot of students who will come and we will give them enough food to get them through that break. And so it's a great service that the university provides to our students. And that is located in Grace Wilkie Hall, first floor. And so students will see things around campus about Shocker Support Locker. We also have another program called Shocker Share a Meal, which students will have to download an app. And this is probably one of my favorite things on campus, because not only are we helping to address food insecurity on campus, we're also reducing food waste. And so we have a lot of events. And so your students are going to get fed free meals. The first couple weeks, there's free food almost at every event, and also t-shirts, which is great. And so by going to these events, if there's leftover food from any of our events, students will get a text message if they opt in. Hey, there's food in XYZ building. Once they get that text message, they will have 30 minutes to go and pick up a box and load it up with goodies and take it back to their room. And so that is something that we do for students, which is great, especially our commuter students who aren't on campus or have meal plans. They really enjoy that because it helps them get a snack in between the middle of the day and without having to come out of pocket for some things. And so that's that. Kim, do you want to talk briefly about like textbooks and tutoring, things of that nature?
Sure.
We have about 9 minutes.
No problem. Your students should be able to access now, what textbooks they need. They can order them online from the Shocker store. Shocker store does a great job of packaging them all together. Back in our day, we've now reached that age. So it's like back in our day, we went downstairs and we looked at our CRN, our course reference number, and we chose our books and all of that. You don't have to do that anymore. The Shocker store does a great job. They will, the student will go out and select if they want a used book or a rental book or a new book or whatever. They'll click their options throughout their classes. The bookstore staff will pull them together, package them nicely, put them on all kinds of racks. And then the first couple of days of the semester, students just go down to the bookstore, show them the Shocker card. So you need to have it with you. So show the Shocker card. They'll go back, they'll pull their books for them, give them access cards, give them any information or any materials that they need that they've ordered from the Shocker store. And the students don't have to worry about it. So all they have to do is go to the bookstore, or used to be called the bookstore, the Shocker store, and pick up their items for class. So a lot of students kind of subscribe to the wait and see if I need this book method. that is a personal decision. And the faculty will say the same thing. When you ask them at orientation, they probably told you, yes, you should have them by the first day of class. And others say, well, you should probably go to class first and find out, exactly, what you're looking at there. So that's a personal choice. It's a personal decision. My advice is to have it on the first day of classes, because your students now should be able to log into their Blackboard, and faculty are starting to load up. Not all faculty, it's a little early still, sorry, but they can go ahead and check their Blackboard and see if maybe they've got some, early classes or professors who are really excited about the fall and have uploaded their syllabus and things like that. So at any point in time, they can start checking Blackboard for that. But in those syllabi, those will all list out all of the textbooks and all the classroom supplies that students need. So kind of looking at that ahead of time, weighing the options. Do I buy ahead? Do I wait until class? Again, it's a personal choice. It's a personal decision. What I would say is that if you wait too long, you're not going to have books available. A lot of time, probably not as much now, but in recent years, a lot of books were on back order. And so you don't want to wait too long. Week 2, I would say, would be the latest that you want to have those books purchased and in your hands. Absolutely no later than that, because if your student does not have your books and the materials needed for class, they're going to get behind real quick. And once they're behind, it's hard to get out of that hole and recover from that. So that's what I would say about books. I would also say if your students are anticipating, that classes are going to be difficult for them. Sometimes if they're registered in a historically difficult course, they're going to find supplemental instruction is going to be part of their course, and they can always request a tutor if they're not sure. And if they already think they're going to need support for a class, have them reach out and request a tutor now. It's not too early. Our staff look at those. Our staff will see those requests coming in and the schedules being, loaded. Our student tutors will have their schedules in the same system. Advisors have their schedules in. Once the semester's underway, they have to be trained first and all of that. And that happens usually about a week before the classes begin. But a student can go out, request a tutor. If we have somebody able, if the class matches and their schedules match, they schedule and they can go in as early as, the next day or the day after and begin their meetings with their tutors. If there's not something available, they can request a tutor, and then our staff will get in contact with the student. Often it's requesting a tutor that is already in a class that is already supported by another service. So for example, they want a tutor for Chemistry 211. There happens to be SI for 211, so supplemental instruction for Chemistry 211. So we'll redirect the student to the existing service and to the service that works best for that class. So if they don't know where to start and they think they're going to need a little bit of help academically in their classes, have them go to wichita.edu/tutoring. And it'll have a lot of information about subject-specific tutoring or department-specific tutoring. It'll also have the instructions on a step-by-step instruction on how to request a tutor and get connected to the Shocker Learning Center. So eventually we're going to be moving into the new Shocker Success Center, and we're super excited about that. That doesn't happen until next summer. So when your students return for their second year, they'll have a bright and shiny new tutoring center to take advantage of and connect and study in and all those great things. So I'll leave it at that. If you want me to expand on anything, Alicia, let me know.
Yep. Nope. So Access Now what is Access Now? What does that give access to materials? Yes. And so students, if they have an Access Now book that shows available, that is really the route to go, unless your student needs a different alternative book for them to be successful. The difference is that Access Now, the book is going to be available to them in their Blackboard. And so as soon as they log in, they're going to be able to go and click on the link, and then it's going to open up a textbook for them online. And so that is really, and the thing about Access Now compared to a traditional textbook is the cost savings is probably close to anywhere between 60 and potentially like 70%. And so students are paying significantly less by utilizing Access Now. It's something that our Shocker store has been working really diligently in trying to keep those prices down for students. A lot of our students are also coming in with the knowledge and experience of using online textbooks already. And that is a preferred method for many of them. And so if that's something that your student is wanting, definitely take advantage of it. If not, then they can work with the Shocker store to order a traditional book or an alternative means. And so that is something there. Some may also need access codes for specific courses. So I know, like for math and chemistry, there's access codes that students will need in order to be able to turn in their assignments. And so those will be available for purchase through the Shocker store as well. If your student purchases that online, they will need to check their email because they will be sent something. They're not necessarily going to have to pick something up. They'll be sent something in order for them to be able to gain access for that online. And so a lot of things. And again, this is a lot of information just kind of being thrown out at one time. And so if this is your first, table talk that you're joining with us, or if it's, the last one, we will be providing updates in our parent family newsletter on all of this stuff throughout the year. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to go to our parent family website. You can go to our social media. You can feel free to email or call myself or Kim, any of our offices, and know that we're on standby to support you and help you through this process, because we know it's overwhelming. And that's why we do this, to try to help ease that process and just making sure that you're prepared, because when you feel prepared, your students feel prepared. And that helps us help them reach their goals. And so the website for that, Rachel, so for Access Now, that will be available to them when you go to the Shocker store. And I think Quang put that up already. And so if it's there we go. Thanks, Quang. Shockerstore.com. And so if you go there, click on textbooks, put in the student's course reference number that is on their schedule, and that will pull up all of the textbooks or materials that's required for that particular course. And you'll see, is there an Access Now textbook available? Is it a traditional? What the method of textbook is. And you'll be able to choose options, whether it's new or used, what have you. And so, and Shocker Store is amazing. Kim had said, save time, order online. Literally, the line when you walk in, it wraps around. But if you order online and you're just going in to pick up, literally, Shocker card, here you go, here's your bag. It is quick, it's easy. Kim and I, we volunteer there, I think every year, to try to help as much as we can. And so it's nice just seeing how, again, efficient their office is with the Shocker Store, making sure that that information is available and ready for students for pickup. And so we are at time. I want to say thank you to Katie for taking time out of her evening for joining us. We look forward to welcoming you all on campus. You said 10 days, Katie? Woo, 10 days. Let the countdown begin. If you have not already done so, make sure you like and follow us on our social media handles. It's at Shocker Family, at Shocker Family, and at Shocker Family Network. And one of them is we're sending information out to you. The other is you can connect with each other. And other than that, we are excited. One more. Do all textbooks have a rental option? Sarah, no, they do not. It depends on the textbook. So you'll need to make sure that you're checking online with the Shocker Store and seeing if that is a option. Other than that, ladies, any final advice?
Yes. We have a winner. We need to choose a winner. Alicia, that's the most exciting part of the whole night, right? What do they get? Do you know what they're getting this time?
Yes, this amazing Shocker banner. It is a flag to put outside to let the entire neighborhood know that you're a proud Shocker member. Yay!
All right, and
so
our
Shocker winner is Deborah Fisher. Woo-hoo. Are you still online with us, Deborah? I hope so. Check your mailbox. Deborah, this is coming to you here this week. We're excited to help you represent Shocker Nation. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you on campus soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.